Greetings, fellow book lovers, and welcome back to Colin's Corner. So today, guys, we are finally going to be doing my review of Memories of Ice, the third book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series by Steven Erikson. Just to be upfront, this is going to be a full spoiler review. We're not really going to waste any time. This is the third book in a 10-book series. I feel like if you guys have stuck around this long in the series, no one that hasn't read this series, I feel like, is going to be watching this review. So, just a fair warning, this is going to be a full spoiler review. I decided to not do a comedy with Colin for those of you that are regulars to my channel, so we're going to skip the comedy with Colin, and we're just going to get straight into the review. Now, this is going to be a review slash just kind of, I don't know, spewing of my thoughts. I've been putting this review off for some time because I was just really struggling to articulate my feelings for this book in a way that I felt it deserved. And I think I've got it pretty tied down, so we're just going to see what happens, guys. Now, I don't understand how Erikson is able to accomplish so much in the course of one novel. Now, I know that this is over 900 pages, but let me elaborate just a little bit here. I feel like there are about 5 or 6 different subplots that could be the entire basis for another novel or another series. It's so chock full of history and lore that we only get a small taste of it. It makes this world that Erikson has created just feel so absolutely believable and lived in. The Talani Mass, the Rivi people, the Poignant Domain, any of these could be the entire basis of some other story completely, and they're all jam-packed into this one novel. And he does it seamlessly. Nothing feels to me like it doesn't belong there. It's all part of this. It was all necessary to elicit the emotions that this book elicited from me. So the events taking place here in Memories of Ice are to be happening concurrently with the events of Deadhouse Gates, which, is no big deal for this world, right? We just have, the whirlwind happening in the 7 cities and an insane person leading the Poignant Domain as they ravage towns and eat people on the continent of Genebacus. So just another day at the office for the world of Malazan. We get to get reacquainted with some of my favorite characters from Gardens of the Moon. We've got the Bridge Burners, we've got Quick Ben, Perrin, Whiskeyjack, we've got Anomander, Rake, Kruppa, part of Tattersail, I guess, and many other characters, both new and familiar. This dramatis personae is quite large. Like I kind of alluded to at the beginning, this review may be a little different than other of my reviews that you guys have seen on the channel. If you are new here, it won't be new. The whole thing will just be new. But what I wanted to do in this video, what I decided on doing to talk about Memories of Ice, is to highlight 2 themes that stuck out to me throughout the course of this novel. Now, I want to preface this by saying that there's going to be a ton of moments that I leave out, a ton of themes that I leave out as well. This book is absolutely riddled with themes and amazing moments. I want today to talk about 3 or 4 scenes or moments that resonated really deeply with me surrounding the themes of both empathy and compassion. There will certainly be themes layered into these 2 main themes as well, but these are the 2, I guess, kind of umbrella themes that struck a massive chord with me personally throughout the entirety of this book. And we're going to start in the very beginning of the book. So obviously we all know this prologue opens up hundreds of thousands of years before the present day events of the Malazan Book of the Fallen. And it's during the 33rd Jaghut War. So there's this Jaghut mother who is fleeing her pursuers, who are Imas, and are coming to kill her and her children, I believe. An Imas Bonecaster catches up with her and kind of corners her and her children, and we learn that this is a renegade bonecaster named Kalava, who just happens to be our boy Tool's sister. That is this scene in the prologue is the very first example of both empathy and compassion shown in the book. And what happens is Kalava offers to do what she thinks is helping the Jaghut mother by taking her two children and sending them into an opening in the Omtos Felak warren to keep them safe, while the Jaghut mother stays behind and basically dies to distract the pursuers and allow her children to survive, albeit without a mother. Pran Chol eventually reveals to Kalava that what she has actually done with the children is sealed a rent in Morn, and instead of saving the children, Kalava basically sent them to an eternity of pain and suffering. Now, I wanted to start here because Erikson continued this type of theme throughout the book, where characters are showing empathy and compassion to other characters, and usually one member of the party, or both in this case, come to some very hard realization regarding empathy and compassion, and in many cases made a mistake or just completely misunderstood the reason for the empathy or the compassion being shown. Kalava was trying to do what she thought was right, what she thought was the most right, the most humane thing, the most civil thing in a horrible situation, and at least save the children, even though they would be without their mother. Now, I can only imagine how absolutely devastating it must have been for Kalava to get this information revealed to her by Pran Chol about what she had actually done with these children. And just like the character, as the reader, Erikson doesn't simply just let us feel good. Hardly ever in the series and in this book. There's always a catch. The next scenario that I want to talk about here is the relationship between the Maybe and Silver Fox. So the Maybe is the Rivi woman who brought the child of Silver Fox to term, and Silver Fox, we learn, is this kind of combination of a few souls. So in there she's got Tattersail, Nightchill, Bellerdan, and I guess 4, because it would be Silver Fox herself. So she's got like 4 warring souls, warring personalities within her. I don't understand exactly why this next part I'm about to talk about happens, but she is aging extremely rapidly. I might have missed this part or just don't remember because it's been a few months now since I've read this book. So if you know, please let me know in the comments. But what we know as the reader about this, and the important part about what I want to talk about, is that we as the reader and other characters in the book know that everyone basically besides Silver Fox is aware that her rapid aging is at the extreme physical expense of her mother, of the Maybe. Now, for a lot of this book, Silver Fox, if I remember correctly, didn't have any interest in even speaking with her mother, was speaking with the Maybe. And it was this devastating relationship where we as the reader can see how much the Maybe is sacrificing for a Silver Fox to live and to grow. Without Silver Fox knowing, and then we as the reader, just with the other characters in the book, have to observe Silver Fox treating her mother horribly. However, the moment when Silver Fox finally learns what is happening to the Maybe is one of the most poignant moments in the book for me personally. It reminds me so much of a realization that I have had regarding parenthood. It unfortunately usually isn't until we mature in the world, right, as people, that we realize just how much sacrifice our parents went through for us and how much energy we take from them. And what Erikson does in Memories of Ice is quite obviously a very fantastical metaphor for this realization that I'm talking about here, but nonetheless, it is a representation again of compassion and empathy being shown by the Maybe, although it wasn't really her choice entirely. My point is, she still was okay with basically sacrificing her life, her energy, her life, for Silver Fox, and this devastating moment of realization where Silver Fox understands the empathy and compassion being shown to her by the Maybe, and it really hurt to read about. Speaking as a parent and speaking as a child of parents, I think especially once I became a parent, it became so obvious to me how much just day to day energy, time, effort my parents were sacrificing for me, for my sister, for the family. And I think that, Silver Fox has this realization, this representation of just love in whatever form the Maybe is showing it, and then Silver Fox just not appreciating it, just being kind of a butthead about it. And man, I thought about all the times that I was a massive butthead to my parents, and now I think about it as, my daughter can sometimes be a pretty big butthead, and you know what? I wouldn't change any of the sacrifices that I made because of that. Like, I still, would show her love and compassion and unconditional love and compassion no matter what. And the way that Erikson uses this relationship, creates this metaphor, is just astoundingly beautiful to me and really struck a chord with me, I think especially as now a parent. Next, I want to talk about the scene where we have Whiskeyjack and his troops. They are put in a difficult scenario where there are these incensed women and I think children, Tenniscowry soldiers of the Poignant that are in their way. And the only option essentially is to kill them. Now, Whiskeyjack decides that he has to do the killing. He can't order his troops to kill these women and children and still hold their respect. Those two events are mutually exclusive. He can't ask them to do it and have them still respect him. And they need to die, so that leaves Whiskeyjack with the only option being that he has to do it, even though it's going to really stink. In comes Anomander Rake. Anomander Rake offers basically to do it for Whiskeyjack, to show mercy. I think he says to show mercy to Whiskeyjack, and basically just come in, swoop in, and banish these Tenniscowry women and children to Dragnapur, to live forever in the sword. Whiskeyjack denies Rake's offer, and Rake doesn't push him on it. Now, in my opinion, I think Whiskeyjack denies Rake's offer for a very similar or the same reason that he says that he has to be the one to do it. He can't order his soldiers to do it and still hold their respect, but he also can't allow somebody else to do it while his soldiers watched when he could have been the one to do it. So he denies Rake's offer and carries through with it. Now, it wasn't until after this horrible event happens that Whiskeyjack comes back to Rake and has this heartfelt discussion where he realizes Rake wasn't showing mercy to Whiskeyjack's troops. Rake was offering mercy to Whiskeyjack, to save Whiskeyjack from having to live with the burden of having done this to these women and children on his heart. They have this super cool bro moment, which is one of a few super cool bro moments that these two have in the book. And Whiskeyjack, I think, says something along the lines of, "I don't deserve to have friends such as you." Again, this is another example of Whiskeyjack misunderstanding the compassion and the empathy that Anomander Rake was trying to show him. And this is kind of what Anomander Rake has been doing for the Tista Andi for I don't even know how long. Hundreds of years, thousands of years now. Kind of doing the dirty work and living with this kind of stuff on his soul. And I remember him and Whiskeyjack having this conversation, and Whiskeyjack just realizing, like, oh my god, I did this to like a handful of women and children. You've been doing this to save the pain and suffering of having to deal with this on your conscience from your people for I don't even know how long, and I don't even know how many souls you've taken to do. Like, it was this very like, wow, you were gonna take this pain that I now feel on for me and just live with it? You were gonna do that for me? How do I deserve friends such as you? And again, it just was this very beautifully just tragic moment of realization from another character being shown compassion and empathy from another character in the book, and just not getting it until later. And it blows my mind how Erikson is able to create these scenarios and generate these feelings. And the last scene that I want to talk about is the scene that everybody knows I was eventually going to talk about, and probably the scene that made me shed more real tears than any other scene that I've ever read. And it's kind of two scenes. So, Itkovian. He is what is called the shield anvil of the god Fener, I think the god of war. And the shield anvil's job is to absorb pain, I believe, in Fener's behalf. Again, like I said in the beginning, a lot of what I'm saying could be and probably is incorrect. Please feel free. I will not take any offense to you correcting me in the comments. This is all just my opinion, my takeaway from the book. If I'm incorrect, there's so much information. I'm sure I'm incorrect in some things. I will not take offense if you respectfully correct me in the comments. So I think that what the shield anvil does is absorb pain on Fener's behalf, and is like the middleman of pain. So like the shield anvil will accept the pain and then pass the pain on to Fener to handle. But at some point, Fener is just gone. I don't remember why. I think he left his realm. So it's just Itkovian being the shield anvil without having anywhere to put the pain that he's absorbing. And so that basically just means that he's stuck with his pain by himself. Well, towards the end of the book, he encounters the undead Talan Imas army, and can feel all of their pain. And they've been living for hundreds of thousands of years, so there's a lot of backlogged pain within all of these soldiers, and they just want to die. They just want to die. But we, as humans, represented in the book, the ugliness of humanity, just need them for one last thing. Of course, it's always about us. We just need them to help us win this little war, this tiny little blip on their history. We just need them to help us win this war, and then they can go die, right? That's all we need. But Itkovian decides, you know what, screw it. I'm taking this pain. And he takes all of it from all of them, and it kills him. Before this happens, they could not understand. They could not fathom why he would do something like this. And instead of me trying to explain it to you, I hope you don't mind, I'm just going to read the quote directly from the book, because Erikson says it unbelievably profoundly. So without anything further, here we go. But we still do not understand your generosity, your compassion. And so we ask again, why have you done this for us? Sirs, you speak of compassion. I understand something now of compassion. Would you hear? Speak on, mortal. We humans do not understand compassion. In each moment of our lives, we betray it. We know of its worth, Yet in knowing, we then attach to it a value. We guard the giving of it, believing it must be earned. Talan Mas, compassion is priceless in the truest sense of the word. It must be given freely in abundance. It is in this moment that I realized I did not truly understand the meaning of the word compassion, because I think that, speaking for myself, even the times that I think I'm showing compassion, am I really showing compassion, or is there some kind of ulterior motive? Am I doing something for the good of doing it? Or am I doing something for the good of doing it and because I think there's going to be some kind of gain for me in it? What a profound moment this was for me to read. Itkovian's character arc blew me away. I, for a lot of this book, did not care much about Itkovian, and he swiftly, especially in this moment, became one of my favorite characters in this book to read. This isn't even the most powerful scene, in my opinion, in the whole book. The most powerful scene in this book, for me, was each and every soldier, thousands and thousands of soldiers, each and every one, walking up to Itkovian's grave one by one and placing some kind of token of appreciation and gratitude on his grave. It could have been something so simple, a stone, a stick, a dagger, a pebble, whatever they had. They were so grateful to Itkovian. They just wanted to show some kind of appreciation to his grave that he lay dying in because of the pain that he absorbed from them. So those are all the scenarios in this book that I wanted to touch on. And I just want to end this by having a little bit of a brief discussion again. Erikson is an example for me of a fantasy author, but I don't even want to just box him into a fantasy author. He's an example of an author that, to me, has shown me the absolute necessity of reading fiction. Because what this book and other authors similar to Erikson for me, such as Robin Hobb, even Stephen King to a certain extent, what their works have shown me about empathy, about compassion, about understanding other people is something that I cannot get in life. I cannot go through a scenario like this in my life. But Erikson, in this fantasy world of Malazan, was able to completely help me reconstruct my idea of the word compassion. These are things, when people say that books affect them, affect their life, affect them deeply, move them. These are the types of books that I try to reserve those types of statements for. Erikson has successfully been able to help me alter my idea of the word compassion. And that is incredible, all through a work of fiction. Now, I don't know if, I know that this Memories of Ice is a lot of people's favorites in the series. I think probably for me personally, Dead House Gates is still just barely maybe above Memories of Ice. I don't know. None of that really matters to me. All I know is that I'm really excited to be continuing to read on in this series and to read more of Steven Erikson's works. So that is pretty much going to do it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this little bit of a different style review. I know that there's many of you that have been waiting patiently for me to get this review out, and finally I've recorded it and it's out for you guys. I hope that you all enjoy it. If you are new to the channel, Please hit the like button on this video and subscribe, and you can follow me on my journey through the rest of the Malazan Book of the Fallen and a lot of my other reads. We'd be so happy to have you. I hope you guys are all enjoying what you're currently reading, and remember, you're always welcome in Colin's Corner.